Leadership11.com.
Welcome to Leadership Role. I'm your host, Dr. Kitty, and today we will be continuing our review of Codex Dark Angels. So today we'll go over the troops and elite sections. And we'll start with the troops, being that they are generally the mainstay of an army. Not particularly so in the Dark Angels, as they can take Deathwing Terminator squads and Ravenwing attack squads as troops, if you take the right characters. But the normal Green Marines, as they're sometimes called, are pretty much your standard Marines. You have the tactical squad, no surprises here. It's exactly what you would expect out of Space Marine tactical squads. Pretty much 4s across the board for stats. Of course, 1 wound, leadership 8, 3 up save from the power armor. They have the bolt gun, bolt pistol, frag and crack grenades, and they shall know no fear, combat squads, and grim resolve. It's like every other Space Marine troop in every other Space Marine book, except for Grey Knights, because Grey Knights are different. But other than that, it's very much the same as Codex Space Marines. You can take 5 Marines, so your base squad, and take 1 special weapon or 1 heavy weapon. And that was a change at the time, but now Space Marines can do the same. The nice thing about this is you could take a 5-man squad with like a plasma cannon or a las cannon, and they're just kind of like a backfield support unit, which is okay. Then the other troop squad is the scout squad. And this is going to be the same as every other scout in the game. Their weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, strength and toughness 4, 1 wound, initiative 4, 1 attack, leadership 8, the 4 up armor save from their scout armor. And they come with a bolt gun, a bolt pistol, frag and crack grenades. They have, and they shall know no fear, combat squads, infiltrate, move through cover, and scouts. They can take camo cloaks, which gives them +1 to their cover save. They can have a shotgun, a combat knife, or a sniper rifle. All of those replace their bolt gun, so you can have close combat weapon scouts if you want. They can take a heavy weapon, either a heavy bolter or a missile launcher. And the missile launcher can have flak missiles if you want, but it's kind of pricey for a guy that hits on a 4. And I would say there's no real difference between these and any other Space Marine Scout squad. The difference between these two troops, I would say, is at the time, other Space Marines didn't get the flak missiles, and they do. Also, Space Marines paid more points for the heavy weapons, but now it's the same. So, really, Dark Angels are just put in line with other Space Marines. So, nothing really to write home about with these troops. It's common stuff. The tactical squad, of course, can take a drop pod, Rhino, or Razorback as a dedicated transport. Scouts don't get one. Unlike Space Marines, Scouts don't get the Storm because the Dark Angels don't have any Storms. Apparently they converted all those into Dark Shrouds or something like that. So now we'll take a look at the Elite section. And the first thing out of there is the Company Veteran Squad. Now, unlike other Space Marines, Dark Angels battle companies are ordered differently. They're normal battle companies with their 6 tactical squads, 2 assault, 2 devastators, so there's 100 Marines. But out of that company, they draw their veteran guys to make veteran squads instead of promoting them to the first company because that's the Deathwing. So, Company Veteran Squad would be a combination of your Stern Guard and Vanguard veterans in other Space Marine armies. However, they don't have any of those special rules. Really, the Company Veteran Squad is closer to the Chaos Space Marine Chosen. And by that I mean, basically a bunch of Marines get to take a whole bunch of war gear. You can take storm bolters and combi weapons, and a couple of them can take heavy or special weapons or heavy weapons. And other than that, they're like a tactical squad. They're a few more points, and they do have a base of 2 attacks and 9 leadership because they are veterans. But other than that, it's really difficult to see what you would use them for. Maybe a really expensive assault squad, but honestly, the assault squad would probably do better. For the other elite choices you could take, I don't know about the veteran squad. Maybe with a company captain or Azrael as like a bodyguard of sorts instead of the command squad. But they pretty much had the same options as the command squad, so they've been like this for a while. The only real addition I think they got was they could take flak missiles, because at the time, of course, nobody could take flak missiles. They were in the book, but nobody had them. Then Chaos Marines got them, so Dark Angels got them. So, yeah, I don't know about the company veteran squad. The next squad is the Deathwing Terminator squad. Now, the thing about these guys is that they're, unlike other Space Marine chapters, Dark Angels don't have Assault Terminators and Tactical Terminators. They're the same squad, which is this Deathwing Terminator squad. And they're like normal Terminators, 4s across the board, 2 attacks, leadership 9, the 2-up armor saved from the Terminator armor. The base Terminators come with a Stormbolter, a Power Fist, the Sergeant has a Power Sword, but then they have the Deathwing Assault, the Inner Circle, Split Fire, and Vengeful Strike. Now the Deathwing Assault is a rule where any of your Deathwing squads in reserve can choose to all teleport in on turn 1 or 2. You choose. And there's no rolling for it, they just show up. And that's pretty awesome, because if you take like Belial, he doesn't scatter for one, but he also gets this rule. And any character in Terminator armor gets this rule. Inner Circle, of course, they're going to be the start of the Inner Circle, really. Split Fire is interesting because you can take 1 heavy weapon per 5, so you can split fire that heavy weapon at something else. For instance, the missile launcher usually will shoot at a vehicle while the rest of the Stormbolters will shoot at infantry. Then Vengeful Strike is the turn they teleport down, all their weapons count as twin linked, which is a nice little bonus considering that they didn't actually raise their points any. They're 44 apiece. Inner Circle does make them fearless, so they're still fearless Terminators. And it also gave them preferred enemy Chaos Marines. So a little bonus there if you happen to be fighting against Chaos Marines. And Deathwing Terminators can replace, any of them can replace their weapons with a Paralightning Claws for free, or a Thunderhammer and Storm Shield for 5 points. Also, you can replace a Power Fist with a Chain Fist for 5 points, which might be good if you're expecting to fight some armor. And the awesome thing is that you can actually take a Plasma Cannon on them. It's 15 points, and you replace a Stormbolter with a Plasma Cannon. You can also replace a Stormbolter with an Assault Cannon or a Heavy Flamer. But you can take a Cyclone Missile Launcher, so that if you decided to give all your guys Thunderhammer and Storm Shield, one guy could still have the Missile Launcher. They also could take a Land Raider of any type as a dedicated transport, and this has to have the Deathwing vehicle, which is pretty much the same as the Venerable. Any penetrating hit results, you can have your opponent reroll. So they're slightly harder to kill. As with 2 characters, you can make this squad troops. It's pretty popular to see them. They do hold objectives fairly well. And against certain armies, the Stormbolter fire is pretty decent. Some armies, it doesn't do anything, but, I mean, you'll probably know what those are because, I mean, every army pretty much has Strength 4 weapons which can't hurt particular things. The next unit is a new one, the Deathwing Knights. Now, these are basically the elite of the Deathwing, and their weapon skill 5, and then ballistic skill, strength, toughness 4, 1 wound, 4 initiative, 2 attacks, leadership 9 with their 2-up save from their Terminator armor. They carry the Mace of Absolution, which is +2 strength, AP 4, but it also has Bane of Traitors, which against Chaos Space Marines it's basically +1 AP, so it's AP 3 against them. The Knight Master, the sergeant of this squad, carries the Flail of the Unforgiven, which is a fancy version of the same thing. And they also carry Storm Shields. They have the Deathwing Assault rule, something called Fortress of Shields. They all have Hammer of Wrath, which is interesting, but I've found it very difficult to kill things with Hammer of Wrath. But, you know, a squad of 5 guys smashing into dudes. If you could all get them into base, you might do something. They're in a circle, of course, and they have a rule called You Cannot Hide. So the Fortress of Shields is, as long as Deathwing Knight model is in contact with 2 other models with this rule, they get +1 toughness. So that turn you teleport down and they're all touching each other, they're toughness 5. Which isn't bad, but they still only have 1 wound. So a lot of things that are going to cut through your Terminator armor, the +1 toughness is going to help. The You Cannot Hide rule is they have precision hits in combat. So every 6-day roll you can allocate to somebody, and maybe you can snipe out enemy power fist or the heavy weapon you really want to kill in case your knights somehow don't get them. But with only being AP4 for the most part, unless of course you're playing against Chaos Marines, I don't think it's going to have too much effect. They also can take a Land Raider as a dedicated transport. It also has to have the Deathwing vehicle upgrade, which makes sense. They are Deathwing. But they can also take a Perfidious Relic of the Unforgiven, which of course gives them the Adamantium Will and the Fear rule, I believe. I mentioned it in one of the previous podcasts. And the Deathwing Knights kit, which also makes the Deathwing Terminator Squad and the Deathwing Command Squad, does actually come with the little Watcher in the Dark for that. The only problem I have with Deathwing Knights is their complete lack of shooting makes it difficult to use them. I guess you could put them with Belial and maybe, because you won't scatter, put them ridiculously close to an enemy and just hope you weather the fire. But they're a little more... They're only 2 points more than the normal Deathwing squads, and they're not scoring. You can't make them troops. It's only the Deathwing Terminator squad, not the Deathwing Knights. So it's a little different. But they are definitely awesome looking models, and I could see using them just on that principle alone. And then the last entry in Elite is the Ubiquitous Dreadnought. Now, this is the same as every other Dreadnought. He comes with the Power Fist with built-in Stormbolter, Multi-Melta, Searchlight, Smoke Launchers. This also has the option for a Venerable Dreadnought, which gives him the Deathwing vehicle rule. So, this normal Venerable rule. Venerable Dreadnoughts are also Weapon Skill, Ballistic Skill 5, the Strength 6, Front and Side Armor 12, Rear Armor 10, Initiative 4, 2 attacks with 3 hull points. Dreadnoughts are Weapon Skill, Ballistic Skill 4, otherwise the same. They can take a Twin-Linked Autocannon, a Twin-Linked Heavy Bolter, a Twin-Linked Heavy Flamer, which is actually pretty funny. All of those for 5 points. A Plasma Cannon for 10, an Assault Cannon for 20, which is a lot, and a Twin-Linked Las Cannon for 25. You can replace the Stormbolter on the Power Fist with a Heavy Flamer for 10. You can take extra armor for 10. You can replace the Power Fist with either a Missile Launcher for 10 or a Twin-Linked Autocannon for 15. And they can take a Drop Pod as a dedicated transport, and of course the option to make them Venerable Dreadnought. I like Dreadnoughts a lot. Playing Blood Angels, I can have a ton of Dreadnoughts, and I do have a few Dark Angel Dreadnoughts. I really like the idea of the 2 autocannons. It makes them 120 points, and it's 4 twin-link shots at strength 7. Pretty good for killing light vehicles, but they are kind of a liability in combat. But with the drop pod, they could come down, possibly even get rear armor on heavier tanks. Side armor on Marine tanks is only 11, so it's a pretty good chance to pop those too. It used to be that I would say that the Venerable is auto-include, but now with the hull point system, it's not so much. The old systems where you had to kill them with a roll on the chart, Venerable Dreadnoughts were hard to kill. Very hard to kill. Now, not so much. You just need 3 glances and they die. And there's nothing you can do about the glances with Venerable, they just die. So, that's an overview of the elites and troops for the Dark Angels. Like I say, the troops are kind of lackluster. It is kind of interesting to note that the scouts don't have Grim Resolve, whereas the tactical squad does, of course. But it is kind of, I guess they haven't learned to be Dark Angels yet. So that's the overview for that. Tomorrow we'll be doing fast attacks and heavy supports, and we will see you then.